Good morning, team. As you know, we are covering ISO 27001. We completed all the contents there. So this is the time, as I promised you, that I will provide the complete all controls list belongs to ISO 27001. There are four sections covered by ISO 01. Um, so we will discuss to what are the controls and what are the control objectives. Let's begin the session. Starts with the organizational controls. Started with the five, and sub controls belongs to 5.1. Policies for information securities. Information security policies and topic specific policies should be defined, approved by management, published, communicated, and to acknowledged by relevant personnels and relevant interested parties, and reviewed at planned intervals and if significant changes occurs. 5.2 talks about information security roles and responsibilities part. In this section, information security roles and responsibilities should be defined and allocated according to the organizational needs. Segregation of duties comes under 5.3, where conflicting duties and conflicting area of responsibility should be segregated. 5.4 are the management responsibilities. In this, management should require all personnels to apply information securities in accordance with the established information security policies, topic specific policies, and procedures of the organizations. Authorities contact. The organization should establish and maintain contacts with the relevant authorities, contacts with special interested groups. The organization should establish and maintain contact with the special interest groups or other special security forums and professional associations. 5.7 talks about the threat intelligences part. Informations relating to information security threats should be collected and analyzed to produce threat intelligence. In information security in project management comes under 5.8. Information security should be integrated into the project management. Inventory of information and other associate assets comes under 5.9, where an inventory of information and other associated assets, including owners, should be developed and maintained. 5.10 talks about the acceptable usage, where rules of the acceptable use and procedures for handling informations and other associated assets should be identified, documented, and implemented. Return of assets comes under 5.11, where personnel and other interested parties, as appropriate, should return all the organization's assets in their possessions upon change or termination of their employment contract or agreements. 5.12 talks about the classification of information, where information should be classified according to the information security needs, and the organization based informations, which talks about the confidentiality, integrity, and availability and the relevant interested parties requirements. 5.13 talks about the leveling of informations, where an appropriate a set of procedures of information labeling should be developed and implemented in accordance with the information classification scheme adopted by the organizations. In, in, information transfer comes under 5.14, where rules, information transfer rules, procedures, or agreement should be in place for all type of transfer facilities with the organization and between the organization and other interested parties. Access control are the backbone of the ISO 27001, and also from the organization point of view. Rules to control physical and logical access to information and other associated assets should be established and implemented based on the business and information securities requirements. 5.16 talks about the identity management. The full life cycle of identity should be managed. Authentication information comes under 5.17. Allocation and management of authentications information should be controlled by a management process, including advising personnel to the appropriate handling of authentication information. Access rights comes under 5. 5.18, where access right to information and other associated assets should be provisioned, reviewed, modified, and removed in accordance with the organization topic specific policies on or rules for the access controls. Information security in supplier relationship, it is also called the TPRM part, where processes and procedures should be defined and implemented to manage the information security risk associated with the use of suppliers product or services. 5.20 talks about the addressing information security within supplier agreements we just discussed. 5.21 talks about the managing information security in the ICT supply chain, where processes and procedures should be defined and implemented to manage the information security risk associated with the ICT products and services supply chain. Monitoring and review of the change management of the supplier services comes under 5.22. The organization should regularly monitor, reviewed, evaluate, and manage change in supply informations security practices and services deliveries part. Information security for use of cloud services comes under 5.23, where processes for acquisition, user management, and exit from the cloud services should be established in accordance with the organization's information securities requirements. Security incident management comes under 5.24, where organizations should plan and prepare for managing information security incidents by defining, establishing, and communicating information security incident management rules and responsibilities. 5.25 talks about the assessment and decisions on information security events. The organization should assess information security events and decided if they are to be categorized as information security incidents. 5.26 talks about the response to information security incidents. All security incidents should be responded on a timely manner as defined by the service level agreements. Learning from information security incidents means what are the lessons you learn from the past incidents comes under 5.27. 5.28 talks about how to collect the evidences. The organization should establish and implement procedures for identification, collection, acquisition, and preservation of evidence related to information security events. 5.29 talks about information security during disruptions. The organization should plan how to maintain information security at an appropriate level during the disruptions. 5.30 talks about ICT readiness of the business continuity. ICT readiness should be planned, implemented, maintained, and tested based on business continuity objectives and ICT continuity requirements. Legal, statutory, regulatory, and contractual requirements comes under 5.31, where legal, statutory, regulatory, and contractual requirements relevant to information security and the organization's approach to meet these requirements should be identified, documented, and keep up to date. 5.32 talks about intellectual property rights, where the organization should implement appropriate procedures to protect intellectual property rights. Our next control is 5.34, uh, 5.33, where protection of record comes under this section. Record should be protected from loss, destructions, classifications, unauthorized access, and unauthorized releases. 5.34 talks about privacy and protection of PII. The organization should identify and meet the requirements regarding the preservation of privacy and protection of PII according to applicable laws and regulations and contractual requirements. Independent review of information security comes under 5.35, where the organization's approach to manage information security and its implementation, including people, process, and technologies, should be reviewed independently at planned intervals or when significant changes occurs. Compliances with policies comes under 5.36, where compliances within the organization, information security policies, topic specific policies, rules, and standards should be regularly reviewed. Documented operational procedures comes under 5.37, where it talks the operating procedures for information processing facilities should be documented and made available to personnel who need them. Number 6 talks about the people controls, most important because people's control are the those who where awareness and competencies are required, because peoples are the one who need to raise the concerns. 6.1 talks about the screening parts where background verification checks on all the candidates to become personal should be carried out prior to joining the organizations and are ongoing basis basis taking into the considerations applicable laws, regulations, and ethics to be proportional to the business requirements, the classification of the informations to be accessed, and the perceived risk. 6.2 talks about the terms and conditions of employment, where the employment contractual agreement should state the personal and organizational responsibilities for information securities. Information security awareness, education, and training are the most important in the people controls, where it talks about the personals of the organization and relevant interested parties should receive appropriate information security awareness, education, and training and regular updates of the organizational informations security policies, topic specific policies, and procedures as relevant for their job functions. Disciplinary process comes under 6.4. It talks about a discipline process should be formalized and communicated to take actions against personnel and other relevant interested parties who have committed at the who have committed an information security policies violations. 6.5 talks about responsibilities after termination or change in employments. Information security responsibilities with duties that remain valid after termination or change of the employment should be defined, enforced, and communicated to relevant personnel and other interested parties. Confidentiality of non disclosure agreements, confidentiality or non disclosure agreements reflecting the organization need for the protection of information should be identified, documented, and regularly reviewed and signed by personnel and other relevant interested parties. Remote working security measures should be implemented when personals are working remotely to protect information assessed, processed, or stored outside the organization premises. Information security event reporting. The organization should provide a mechanism to personnel to report observed or suspected information security events other through appropriate channel in a timely manner. Next is the this is the completion of the people's control. Next we have physical controls. In physical controls, this control is started from 7, where 7.1 talks about physical securities perimeters. Security perimeters should be defined and used to protect areas that contain information and other associated assets. Physical entry secure areas should be protected by appropriate entry controls and access points, securing offices, rooms, and facilities related to organizations. Physical security for offices, rooms, and facilities should be designed and implemented in a timely manner. Physical securities monitoring in premises should be continuously monitored for unauthorized physical accesses. 7.5 talks about the protecting against physical and environmental threats, where protection against physical and environmental threats such as natural disasters and other intentional or unintentional physical threats to infrastructure should be designed and implemented. Working in a secure area. Security measures for working in a secure areas to be designed and implemented. 7.7 talks about the clear desk policies, where the rules for papers and removal storage medias and clear screen rules for information processing facility should be defined and appropriated enforced. 7.8 are the equipment setting and protections. 7.9 are the security of assets of a premises. 7.10 talks about the storage media, where storage media should be managed through their life cycle of acquisition, use, transportations, and disposal in accordance within the organization's classification scheme and handling requirements. Supporting utility comes under 7.11, where information processing facility should be protected from power failures and other disruptions caused by failures in supporting utilities. Cabling security talks about 7.12. In this section, the cables carrying power, data, or supporting information services should be protected from interceptions and interference or damages. Equipment maintenance. Equipment should be maintained correctly to ensure availability, integrity, and confidentiality of organization within the organization. 7.14 are the secure disposal or reuse of equipment. In this section, items of equipment's content, storage, media should be verified to ensure that their sensitive data and licensed software has been removed or securely overwritten prior to dispose or reuse. Section 8 talks about the technological control started with the endpoint devices where information is stored or processed or accessible via user endpoint devices should be protected. 8.2 are the privileged access right. The allocation and use of privileged access right should be restricted and managed. 8.3 are the information access restrictions. In this section, access to informations and other associated assets should be restricted in accordance with the established topic-specific policies or access controls. Access to sources code. This part is a major concern in the SDLC's part. Read and write access to source code, developed tools, and software library should be appropriately managed. Secure authentication talks about secure authentication and and the procedure should be implemented based on the information access restrictions and the topic specific policies on access controls. Next is 8.6 where the capacity management, the use of resources should be monitored and adjusted in line with current and expected policies requirements. How to protect our organization from the malware. Protection against malware should be implemented and supported by appropriate user awareness, management of technical vulnerabilities. Information about technical vulnerabilities of information systems in use should be obtained. The organizations exposed to such vulnerabilities should be evaluated and appropriately measured should be taken. 8.9 talks about the configuration management where we need to configure include security configurations of hardware, software, services, and network should be established, documented, implemented, monitored, and reviewed. 8.10 talks about how to delete the information stored in the information systems devices or in any other storage media should be deleted when no longer required. Data masking is a new control just added in the ISO 27001. It talks about data masking should be used in accordance within the organization topic specific policies on access control and other related topic specific policies and business requirements taking applicable legislations into considerations. Data leakage preventions measures should be applied to systems, networks, and any other devices that process, store, or transmit sensitive informations. Information backup talks about backup copies of information, software, and system should be maintained and regularly tested in accordance with the agreed topic specific policies on the backup. Redundancies of information processing facilities should be implemented with redundancy sufficient to meet availability requirements. Logging, how to log these logs. Logs that record activities, exceptions, faults, and other relevant events should be produced, stored, and protected and analyzed. 8.16 talks about monitoring activities where network systems and applications should be monitored for anomalous behavior and appropriate actions taken to evaluate potential information security incidents. What is clock synchronization? The clock of information processing systems used by the organization should be synchronized to approved time sources. Use of privilege utility programs. The use of utility program that can be capable of overriding systems and application control should be restricted and tightly controlled. Installation of software on operational systems, procedures, and measures should be implemented to securely manage software installations on operational systems. 8.20 comes under network securities part where network and other network devices should be secured, managed, and controlled to protect information in system and applications. 8.21 talks about security of network devices, security mechanism, services level, and services requirement of network services should be identified, implemented, and monitored. Segregation of network comes under 8.22, where groups of information services, users, and information systems should be segregated in the organization networks. Web filtering is the new control added in ISO 27001 latest version. Access to external websites should be managed to reduce exposure to malicious contents. Use of cryptography comes under 8.24, where rules for the effect use of crypto includes cryptographic key management should be defined and implemented. 8.25 comes under SDLC lifecycle, which is secure development lifecycle. Rules for the secure development of software and system should be established and applied. Application security requirements, information security requirements should be identified, specified, and approved when developing on acquiring appliances. 8.27 talks about secure systems, architectures, and engineering principles. Principles for engineering secure systems should be established, documented, maintained, and applied to any information systems development activity. Secure coding 8.28 is the new control added in ISO 01. Secure coding principle should be applied to SDLC's part. Security testing in development and acceptances. Security testing processes should be defined and implemented in the software development lifecycle. Outsourced development, if organization is giving any development part to the third parties. So ISO is asking that the organization should direct, monitor, and review the activities related to outsourced systems and developments. Separation of development, test, and production environments. Development, testing, and productions environment should be should be separated and secured. Change management, very important part. Changes to information processing facilities and information systems should be subjected to change management procedures. Test information should be appropriately selected, protected, and managed. Protection of information systems during audit testings. Audit test and other assurance activities involving assessment of operational systems should be planned and agreed between the tester and appropriate managements. These are the list of the ISO 27001 complete. Uh, Apart from this, if you want to take the GRC trainings, and you are also preparing for the interview, we are providing the same thing. We are covering ISO 27001, GDPR, PCI DSS, TPRM, SOX, SOC 2. You can make your comments, or you can also email us on rajbirsingaug@gmail.com.